Hey, thanks again for joining me for another episode of my model build. I had intended on doing the wings and some weathering and painting, but there's so much to cover in this video. It's just finishing up the wing assembly, which we have here. Started out with a shot of primer over all the wing parts, engine parts, laser parts, and then finished off with my Tamiya insignia white. So there's these little pieces here for starters that need to be installed on the underside of these wing assembly here, and they just snap into place like so. And I've got all four assembled. So now the wings will just snap on to the motor assembly, and I have these little parts here that need to be painted red for the Red V insignia. And looking at my reference photo, we've got the 5 red stripes signifying Red V that I need to do, and it shows all the areas of chipping in the red paint that I need to do as well. So I'm going to start out with these little panels here, and using a liquid latex mask, I'm going to mark the areas as close to possible as the areas on the actual filming miniature from ILM. And I've got all 4 pieces done here, and you can see where the latex has been marked for all the chipping. And looking at the under wings of the X-Wing from the filming miniature here, the bottom wings have very little to no chipping at all. They're very clean red. There's a little mark there in the one in the upper left, but they have very little markings. So I've taped off the 4 wings here with my 5 stripes on each wing, and I've also used my latex to chip them up a little bit, as you can see right here. And I'm going to start by just airbrushing flat red over my parts here, and then I'm going to continue on with the painting of the stripes on each wing with the same flat red, and then just remove my masking tape here, and we've got all 4 wings painted, and I just need to snap in these little red square pieces and then lightly go over each wing and rub away the liquid latex, revealing all the chipped paint. And you've got what we see right here. And it's pretty close to the filming miniature. I've done as close as I can. So I've masked off these areas, which I have painted with a sky gray. And you can see how those turned out here. And then I masked off these areas to paint them with a medium gray, and you can see how those have turned out here. This one engine here, you can see, has yellow on the front of it, so I've masked off my engine, sprayed it with Vallejo yellow, and it's a little bright to me. So I'm going to tone it down a bit here with some Tamiya Snow Pastel. Alright, that's looking a little bit better now. And here we have the wings, their primary colors painted. I also did a little sponge technique on the tip of these and chipped them up a bit. So moving on to the wing here, I need to cut out this little area here for my wires for my laser LEDs. And this part of the wing, the wire will travel through here, and it will run into these little points here and here. So I need to cut away for my wires to travel through there so they don't get pinched. And then this little nub here will block the wires coming up into the laser cannons, but I need to bring my wires through there. So looking how these pieces fit together, I need to cut just a tad away on the end here for my wires to come through. So using my blade again, I'm just going to cut a little bit of plastic out of here of the wing. And you can see here I've got a little area for my wires to come through, and that won't be seen because it'll be covered up by the laser cannon assembly, and the wires will go right through here. So this bottom piece will fit on, and you can see the little hole there for the wires to come through. So I'm going to carefully start on the first wing here and run the laser LED through the center of the motor housing portion of the wing. Got it here. And then I'm going to grab the wing itself and I'm going to push it and snap it into position onto the motor housing assembly. It snaps right in there. So then with my LED wire here, it needs to run around that little nub back in there. I'm going to have it run up through here and along the front end of the wing. So what I'm going to do here is put little pieces of tape just to hold the wire down on the inside and run it all the way to the tip of the wing here where it's going to go into the laser cannon assembly. I'm just going to carefully attach the other half of the wing here and try not to pinch any wires. And there we have the wire coming out the tip. So here I have all four wings now attached to the body with the LEDs coming out the ends of the wings. And next I'm going to take this little internal portion of each engine and snap those into position. And I'm going to start working on the engines. Now that those are in position and they hold the engine LEDs in place, first thing I need to do is paint the front of the engine pieces. And all I've done here is just a black wash over them. They're going to be deep inside the front of the engine, so you won't really see them. And then I'm going to take those engine pieces and I'm going to install each one of them onto each one of the wings. And here we have all four of them attached to the body wings. And now we've got the back portion of the engine here, which will slip over my NeoPixel LEDs and just slide right onto this engine assembly. I'm going to continue doing that with the remaining three, and all four of those are done. This little portion here is a clear piece for the engine light. Put those together. And then here we have the rear of the engines, and I'm going to use some oil pastel here to darken up the insides and make them black like they've been burnt from the heat of the engines. You can see how that looks there. And now I've done all four of them. And then these other little pieces here that I did with the clear plastic just snap right inside each of these. And then each of these, then I just carefully slide over my NeoPixel LED, and they are inserted into the back of the engines. And here's all four assembled. And a quick lighting test. And my NeoPixel LEDs are working just fine. The engines are going through their warm-up cycle until they get to full burn. Here we have the laser cannon pieces. Again, shot of Tamiya primer, and then finished them off with my AS-20 insignia white body color. So what I have here is this one half of the laser cannon assembly, which just slides onto the end of the wing, and I need to be careful not to catch my wires here like that ground wire. Have it come through the holes there. Then take the other half where I have a little hole here and I've routed out a little area for the wires, and assemble that and put that on here without pinching the wires. This is all the tricky parts. And get that through there without getting pinched. And there we have the LED in the first laser cannon. Put the back on and this little front portion on. And there we have it. And all 4 of those are now done in all 4 engines. This little portion here goes on the underside of the wings. I've painted one here with a black wash and a little bit of a rust wash. And then I'm going to do the same to the other 3. And here are all 4 in various stages of black and rust. And they just fit right inside this area here on the underside of each wing. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my first one here. And try to avoid my LED wire. And here you can see I've got it snapped into place. And then I've done the same with the other 3, and all 4 are now in position. And now time for a test of my laser cannon LEDs, and oops, looks like I actually have one here that's not working up in the upper left. The other 3 are working fine, but this guy, I just pulled the assembly off, and guess what? The wire got pinched when I was putting the 2 halves of the laser cannon together. And you can see that here. So what I need to go do is solder the wire back together, which I have done right here, and you can see a little bit of solder there. And a quick test again, and it is lighting up and working. So now I just need to put the housing back around it. And here all 4 of them are now assembled, and all 4 of them have the LEDs working. So here we have the laser cannon that comes with the model, and I bought these 3 sets of tubes. I got a 3/32 tube, 1/8 inch tube, and a 5/32 aluminum tube, and I'm going to try to rebuild this model part using these 3 various sizes of aluminum tubes. So I've got my biggest one here, and my medium sized one will slide right inside the big one, and then my smallest one will slide in here, and you can see the little step area here that I've recreated, and it looks pretty much like the kit version. So I'm going to have to cut off here and here for these pieces to slide on to my aluminum tubing. So continuing on here, I'm going to cut my largest diameter piece to length to match the kit piece. So I'm just going to mark it with a Sharpie here, and I'm just going to use a hacksaw in my little thing here and just cut it to length here. And there we go with the 3 pieces assembled to length. So I've got 1.5 millimeter fiber here, and my plan is to run this fiber, which just fits nice and snug inside this tubing. I'm going to run it down the length of the tubing, and then I'm going to have my red SMD LED, and it will fit right into the other end here, and then when it's turned on, voila, we have red light coming out the tip of the laser. The kit piece has this little flat area where it fits in to position, and I've done the same on my aluminum tubing, as you can see there. So what I did is I cut down the center here and then cut away 1/2 of it. Essentially leaving the flat edge. And this is where the kit piece fits into. Fits right into there, nice and snug. And here is my aluminum tubing, which I cut. And it, as you can see, fits right inside there, nice and snug. So I've cut all of my aluminum pieces here, and I'm just going to put some super glue on them and then just slide them together. And then I'm going to do the same with the small piece. Slide it in here and twist it so the glue doesn't glob up, and just push it until I get them the right length. And I've got all 4 of them here done with the right length. So there's this one little piece here that fits onto the kit cannon. You need to put that into position. And then it's time to go ahead and cut this off of the kit piece. This is the scary part. And here I have this removed from the kit piece, and I'm ready to start drilling. Starting out with a small drill bit, 3/64, just to get a hole started. And then I'm going to move on to a 5/32 drill bit, which is the same diameter as my largest tube, or the smallest tube rather, which these will fit over. So I've got these 2 portions cut out, and then I'm just going to slide each of them over my aluminum tubing here. And then putting it next to one of my other kit pieces that I have not disassembled yet, I'm going to move it into position where it's the right distance and length so that these will match exactly to the kit pieces. And then I will super glue those into position. So I've got the other 3 kit pieces cut out, and now I have them all glued into position onto my homemade tubes. Then a shot of primer, as with everything else, and of course a shot of AS-20 insignia white. And then I've cut 4 pieces of my 1.5mm fiber that I'm going to put into each tube, and I'm going to take each one of these and put it over the LED, and then adjust my fiber inside as needed to get the maximum light. So this is purely for adjusting them, and then I'm going to mark each cannon as to which wing it attaches to. And that one's got nice brightness, so that's my upper port. And here all 4 of them have been done now, and you can see on the left here I've marked them like that one says LS for lower starboard. So the next step is to take these 2 decals which come for 2 of the cannons, which fit right over this portion, and I'm going to go ahead and put those on these, and I'm using some microset solution. I'm going to cover up this bottom portion with that, and then I'm going to take my decal and put it into some water here and get it nice and wet and let it soak for just a minute. And then I'm going to take that decal and slide it off onto my laser cannon. Whoops, okay. And here we have it on there. You'll notice there's a little gap there because my tubing is slightly larger diameter than the kit, but I'll fix that with some paint. So now it's time to put all 4 of these on and mount them permanently. Start with the first one here, and now I've got all 4 of them attached, as you can see here, and a quick light test. And the light is shining through all the laser cannons. All 4 are lighting up. We've got the port side here. We've got the starboard side here. So everything is working as I had planned. So at this point, this has been a rather long video, so I'm going to say goodbye for now. In my next video, I will get into weathering the model and hopefully doing the base and finishing it up. So thanks for watching.